Storytime, boys and girls. Every once in a while, I'll scroll through YouTube just seeing if there's anything that piques my interest, and I randomly stumbled upon the Vans skateboarding channel. It's got a TV series on there called Classic Tales, and they basically invite someone from their pro skateboarding team to tell a story of significance from their career. Now, the series features various generations of skateboarding telling weird and wonderful stories, but the one that captured my interest involved pro skateboarder Andrew Allen.
Yeah, my name's Andrew Allen. I am a professional skateboarder.
If, like me, you're unfamiliar with Andrew Allen, he is pro for Vans, he has his own shoe, and he rides for a company called Hockey FA, aka. And FA just so happened to be one of the trendiest brands in skateboarding at the moment. They are closely following behind brands like Supreme and Palace by just really heavily infiltrating mainstream fashion. And the title that intrigued me, Andrew Allen gets dissed by a rollerblader. So the video starts off predictable enough. Andrew Allen basically starts with a story making fun of rollerbladers in general. Surprise, surprise.
I used to skateboard at the Santa Ana skate park.
If you're wondering about the skate park that Andrew Allen is referring to, it is Centennial Park in Santa Ana, which is featured in loads of rollerblading videos over the years, including Headcase Life, just to name one, by John Julio. It also recently featured in Richard Johnson's One Trick a Day, I think it's a YouTube channel, where Demetrius George grinds up both the ledge and the rail.
I'd say probably around 2006. I was skating at the park. At that point in time, there was a lot of rollerbladers. Maybe there still are, I just haven't been seeing them or something, but there was like this group of bladers who would go to the skate park and they would wax the shit out of everything. Like literally just be sitting there like it was a f***ing surfboard, you know? And I had a problem with that because it doesn't need that much wax.
But then he segues into a story where he has an altercation with one rollerblader in particular.
There happened to be a female rollerblader there. She had dreadlocks and like some tattoos, and she was wearing a tank top. She showed up, put her headphones in, and proceeded to pull out this candle that was the size of a baby. And without even like testing the waters on any of the obstacles, she just started waxing everything. And I was like, hey, don't wax that. And she kind of looked at me and I was like, don't do that. So she skibbled on over and scooted over to me. And she was like, what? What's the problem? And I was like, don't wax that ledge. Like, if you're gonna wax it, I can't skate it. And she was like, what do you mean? I wax it? Like, I'm friends with skaters. I do this and that. And I was like, well, you wax it and I can't skate it. And she's like, well, you know what? Now I'm gonna go wax everything. So she went to the park and she sat there and waxed every single ledge staring at me. Directly eye contact, waxed the entire skate park. She proceeded to be done. She went over and she soul grinded the 11 stair rail. She jumped on, grinded it, landed. She's like, I'd like to see you grind the rail. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, who the f*** are you? Like, who are you sponsored by? Wax skater? You fucking little bitch, you're a And me and my friends were like, what the f***? One, she was right, I couldn't grind the rail, it's huge. And two, I was like, what? Where is this girl getting the audacity to like single me out and have such a bad day that she's gonna like attack me verbally, you know?
Now, there were a few takeaways from this story. One, you're a fully grown man shouting and being verbally abusive to a young woman at a skate park.
I was like, hey, don't fucking wax that. And she kind of looked at me and I was like, don't fucking do that.
Word of advice, sort your life out, mate.
I was like, what? Where is this girl getting the audacity to like single me out and have such a bad day that she's gonna like attack me verbally, you know?
She didn't single you out. You singled her out and decided to shout and swear at her. She just responded by being just as aggressive as you were. She did not single you out. She defended herself. And as someone pointed out in the comments section, how does Andrew Allen know what a soul grind is?
She went over and she soul grinded the 11 stair rail.
Could it be that a Vans Pro Team rider is a former rollerblader? The shame of it all. I also find it quite interesting that in recent years, Vans has claimed to be an advocate for LGBTQ and women's rights and equality and creating safe spaces for women and members of the LGBT community in skate parks and in street and in skateboarding in general. Yet they're hosting a video where a fully grown man readily admits to shouting and being verbally abusive to a woman while people in the room laugh at it. That doesn't sound very progressive to me at all. Now, scrolling through the comments section, there was the kind of responses I was expecting. Disgruntled skateboarders basically slagging off rollerbladers, how they ruin parks with wax, blah, blah, blah. There's also various other stories of skateboarders basically making fun of rollerbladers in any way they can. Luckily, some guy called Daniel Smith was there to offer a pearl of wisdom. Don't sleep on footbooters though. On the real, I've seen them do gnarly rails and gaps that I doubt skaters would ever handle. You can get just as broke off. Never a truer word spoken. And Bo Coddington, the man behind the skate videos Transcend and Forest Fire, even got involved to offer some perspective about why rollerbladers use wax, although he did acknowledge that it can be annoying for the other extreme sports. And various commentators actually figured out who the girl he's talking about in the video is. An individual by the name of Rob said, "Dude, I saw some comments saying it was some chick called Chris Griselli, so I looked her up on YouTube, and the first video I watched, she does a drive-by waxing. Epic." I think the edit he was talking about could have been either of these ones. And then I was scrolling down the comments and I seen one from Blader Mum Bexo. If you don't know who that is, her name is Becky Sotelo. She was originally from the UK. I used to bump into her at skate competitions in the UK once in a while, years and years ago. She's been living in California for quite a few years now. She's got a family there and she skates parks significantly better than I do. She left a comment saying, "Chrissy, you're famous, yo," which confirms that it is indeed Chris Griselli. Now that makes perfect sense because Christina Griselli is Brazilian, but she actually lived in California for various years, and it makes sense that them both being female rollerbladers, they would have bumped into each other, hung out, probably had a few sessions together. So looks like Becky's confirmed that it was indeed Christina Griselli.
Parte da sua vida, entendeu?
I actually interviewed Christina around about 2012 for issue 5 of Wheel Scene, the print publication, back when we did the newspaper. And back then I was a huge fan of her skating. I thought she was one of the best females around at the time on street. She had a nice style, she had a good trick vocabulary, she could more than handle herself on handrails, and she wasn't afraid to throw a gap every now and again. If you look her name up on YouTube, you'll find quite a few edits on there. It's been over a decade since I spoke to Chrissy, but I reached out to her on Instagram and she was more than happy to give her version of events. And it turns out that Andrew Allen and the animator that did all the graphics for the story took some quite interesting artistic license with the story because her tale differs significantly from his.
The story is, okay, I'm on the Centennial skate park, right? Local skate park where all the rollerbladers skates. Just a normal day, like, I don't know if it was Saturday day or the weekday, but it was a normal day. And then we there rollerblading, me and a couple of friends at the local park. And then this guy got in the park with another 2 or 3 skateboarders, right? And we used to skate this ledge. It's in the bank, and a big ledge. It's small, but it's up the bank. We used to skate there, like, we skate on this ledge, and I'm waxing the ledge because, you know, we like the wax. So I'm waxing the ledge. The ledge is the wax was a normal size wax, right? It wasn't a big wax. But first of all, I see the points. He just like went big. Second, I never ever wear a tan top on my life. How can the guy say I'm wearing a tan top? Okay, I had the dreadlocks. He was right. But I never wear the tan top on my life. I have ugly tattoo. Like, okay, I have ugly tattoo. Fine, whatever. So with that, he got there, and I'm waxing the ledge. He shout. The skate park is big. He starts shouting at me, like shouting. He then came to the person. It's like, oh, look, don't put too much wax. And then we are already there. If you are already in the place and you got in the place, you gotta respect. It's a session going on. We know that. And the wax fee is so word-wise. It's ridiculous. It's too much. So we're skating that fine. Pop, pop, pop. I'm watching the legend, this guy shouting at distance, like, bah, 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 with a big mouth. So I was like, man, I'm Brazilian, right? And then if someone starts shouting at you here in Brazil, you end up a fight. Or you have a good excuse to say why you shouting at, you know? And I'm mad. I'm always being mad. I'm always like, I'm at the trouble. Like, you know, like, I'm like that, you know, you're going to say. So he starts shouting at me. So I just got close to him because I don't like to shout. I like to stay on the face. So I got in here, got close, very close. And I was like, who the fuck you? You know, I don't know he's a pro skateboarder. I don't know. And if I knew it, I was going to say the same thing. Who the fuck you? So he's like, because this. Then we started. And I was like, you, blah, blah. So I said bad things to him. Maybe I called him the son of a bitch. You're an asshole. Who the you? And then I was like, what did I say to him? I was like, well, I'm keep waxing. I'm not going to stop waxing. And then I said to him, why you don't skate the rail then? I didn't wax the rail. We don't wax down rails. The rail is a down rail. The Centenary is a down rail. I was like, yeah, everything is waxed, but the rail is not waxed. So why you didn't wax the rail? And I didn't go down the rail. I didn't do the rail in front of him. No, I just said, go to the rail. Just go down to the rail. The rail is not waxed. Can you go down to the rail? And then he's like, I was like, yeah, you don't go because you are a pussy. No, I never seen a skateboarder go down to this rail. Go down, let me see it. Never seen it. Always rollerbladers here. Just skate the rail. I didn't. I swear to my mother, I didn't do the rail in front of him. Oh, let's go and do the rail. I was skating the ledge. First of all, I just intimidated him and I said, look, go. Oh, you don't go because you are. Okay, fine. End the story. I go back home. At the time, I don't live with Fabiola. I live with Fabricio Santos. He's a pro skateboarder. He's old now, but at the time he was what's the name? He's got big sponsors, and I live at his house. So I got at the house. Yeah, and then a few weeks after, this guy put on the magazine, right? And Fabrizio came to me and said, hey, what the did you do? This guy is a famous guy. What did you do? Look at, and I was like, come on, man. I don't know this guy. It's you. Look, he's talking about you. You're the only rollerblader that goes there and got dreadlocks and got. He put the story on the magazine.
I ended up telling this story in like a skateboarder magazine, and after that was published, I went back to the park and I saw her there. We made eye contact, and she kind of came over and she was like, hey, thanks for telling that story about me. Like, my sponsors got stoked. Aww. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I know. You gave me like some publicity. And I was just like, wait a minute, are we friends now? Like, what's going on, dude? Like, I don't know.
So I saw him at the park, at the same park or another park. I don't know. I saw him again. And then when I saw him, I was sarcastic. You know, like I came to him and I was like, hey, man, I guess I'm famous now. I guess like it's good. You know, you're talking about me on the magazine and like, seriously, on the video, he said I try to be his friend. Like,
and I was just like, wait a minute, are we friends now? Like, what's going on, dude? Like, I don't know.
What the dude? Like, my English is really bad or what? Like right now, maybe be bad because 10 years I'm here in Brazil, right?
Your English is perfect.
Like, no, but that time I was sarcasm, right? I came to the park and I was making fun of him, but on a good way, not saying bad words, not saying bitch. I was like, come on, now I'm famous. Now you see, and I even say, look, my sponsors got it. My sponsors know, you see, even my sponsors, because I was on 50-50 frames. That story was like everywhere. So it was funny. On the fight turns funny, turns to like a joke. I don't know if you didn't get the joke. Like, I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm just making a joke. Like, you talk about me. Thanks for talking about rollerblading on your stupid magazine, right? That was it.
Now that Chrissy's given her side of the story, there's a few interesting takeaways from it. One, she wasn't wearing a tank top, as Andrew Allen said, or, as the person who did the cartoon suggested, a boob tube. I'm pretty sure if you skated in a boob tube, your boobs would just fall out. Chrissy is a self-confessed tomboy. She always is generally seen wearing a t-shirt and jeans or a button-up shirt. She would not ever be caught dead wearing something so quote-unquote girly. In fact, that's probably the thing that she took most offence to, the fact that he mislabeled her as someone that would wear something like that.
And the tank top, no, that's weird. I'm a tomboy, dude. I don't wear a tank top. Why you tell me I'm wearing a tank top? Why you mad? If you're not mad, you mad. You see, like, no, dude, that's weird.
Although, in Andrew Allen's defence, he did say a tank top and not a boob tube, but they're both wrong, so it doesn't really matter. Although it does make sense that he would say she was wearing something like that to try and belittle her in some way. Another amusing exaggeration is when he commented on the size of the wax that she was using to wax all the surfaces in the park. Although, again, I can understand why he did that, because it was purely for entertainment purposes, and exaggerations make things funnier. The one part I don't understand is why he lied about her grinding the handrail. Now, Chrissy can grind a handrail. There is a ton of footage to support that, and she's probably grinded the handrail at that skate park plenty of times, but even she admits that she did not do it on that occasion, and she would never do it in front of him in an argument, because she obviously just thinks that's a little bit petty.
I didn't. Well, we skated around, but that time I didn't. I was never gonna go like, oh yeah, go away for you. No, dude, no, that's not me. I told him, go there. There's no wax. That's the only place is not wax. Can you skate that? That's it. I'm not gonna prove him I'm a badass. I did it. I swear to my life. Seriously? I was skating the ledge. I just like, look, it's a place. You can go, and it's not wax. It's the rail. Why can you go down the rail? Oh, you can't go down the rail. Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, you are pussy. That's what you are. But I carry on skating on the ledge. That was it. I didn't go down the rail and show him. Man.
So I don't really understand why Andrew Allen said she grinded the rail when she didn't, because by doing that, he basically makes it sound as if she showed him up at the skate park, whereas she readily admits that she didn't. It's a weird thing that he would do that to make himself look like not as tough or like a coward, or as Christina says it, a pussy, when he could have just left it at she waxed Everett and started screaming at him and was acting like a bit of a crazy lady, as people like to say about women who get in their face. But yeah, strange lie to make up. And although Andrew Allen was in the wrong to start shouting at her and swearing at her when he could have just went over to her and had a rational conversation and asked her why she was doing it or if she could give it a rest, Christina readily admits that she was also in the wrong, and she was perfectly willing to get up in his face and start screaming abuse back.
No, nobody's right on that thing. I'm not right. I told the guy many times when he like, it's not like, oh, I win. It's just put the story together, like, you know. Yeah, I told a bunch of names, like, yeah, it was totally brutal and totally disrespectful. But you told the wrong story, dude. Like, because he's got well offended, and you're gonna invent this whole new story to make you look good. Like, come on, dude. Why can you not accept, like, oh yeah, the rollerblade come and talk shit on me, and then that's it. And then she told me to go down the rail, and then I didn't go, and then end the story. Oh, and then I see her wearing the Vans. Yeah, that's it. End the story, dude.
Although I do find it quite interesting that Andrew Allen has now told this story twice. He told it in a skateboard magazine, which he admitted to in the video, and then he told it for the Vans YouTube channel a few years ago. According to Chrissy, that event happened over a decade before the video came out, and yet it's still something that jumps into Andrew Allen's mind.
He did all that video like after 10 years, because the thing happens 10 years ago, dude. It's just like he stayed in his mind, or the Vans, whatever. I got nothing else to say, nothing else to produce, and then they got like a story about 10 years ago and then put it on the video because now they got the Instagram and all that. The guy's mad, dude.
Now, in classic tales, people tell these wild stories about exploding vests. They tell stories about someone trying to stab them while out on a street mission filming. Yet Andrew Allen, who's had decades in the sport, been sponsored by some of the biggest companies in skateboarding. They ask him to tell an interesting, funny story, and the best he can come up with is an argument at a skate park over wax. Something tells me that Andrew Allen needs to get out a little bit more and experience a little bit more of what life has to offer, because if that's the best story you've got, while it's mildly amusing, it doesn't say much about your experiences growing up. Thankfully, Christina's lived a much more storied life. She's competed in rollerblade events all over the world, won a ton of events, turned ASA pro and was turned pro by Chris Edwards, I think it was. She also lived with Fabiola da Silva in California for several years. She lived with a pro skateboarder for several years. She's lived in California. She's lived in London. She's back in Brazil now and runs her own rollerblading school. She does tutorials and lessons for little kids and families, and apparently it's paying her way and she's making a living off it. So it's really good to hear that she's doing well. It was so nice to catch up with her. Christina is just such a firework. Like, you just ask her one question and she just goes off on one. She's just so energetic and charismatic and flamboyant, and it was just really funny talking to her and catching up. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed Storytime. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this, and I just want to thank my Patreon supporters. They are listed on the page now. If you want to join the Patreon, you can do so for as little as £3 a month. There's all sorts on there. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys at Winter Clash.
She beat me though. She won.
She beat me though. She won.